my name is Octavia Gentemann. I would like to show you some astrological insight into the new moon that is happening on the 22nd of May, and therefore in the time between the 22nd May and the 4th of June. As about the 5th of June there's the full moon happening, which will be the first of a series of 3 eclipses. So as it will be a lunar eclipse on the 5th of June, the energy will shift quite a lot. So from then on we may see an alteration in the energies, even though the new moon usually is a period of 14 days, of 28 days until the next moon. We may only have a period of 14 days until the eclipse series may turn the energies a bit upside down. As I mentioned in the other video that I did on Wesak full moon in May, we have a one-sidedness since a few months. And I thought it may be good to show you what I mean with that. These are the horoscopes from December to now, calculated each time to the new moon. As you may see, this year's December we have from Scorpio to Taurus all planets, and then it gets more tightened. Here it is from Sagittarius to Taurus, and then it is only here from Capricorn to Taurus, and so it is really tightening. And as you may see in this planet movement, this tightening is quite interconnected with the tightening of the lives that took place. So the withdrawal into the flats, the withdrawal into the homes, the shutdowns in each nations and countries. So you may see in a very special way what I mean with that. There is a concentration and a single-pointedness of life, so focus on certain areas and only on these areas. As it is, a full moon then is the opposition of the sun, so the moon starts to be on the other position, and then the moon is the only planet that is looking towards the whole bunch of planets. Usually a full moon is a kind of blossoming. It can be also a kind of objectivity, but if there is such a focus in so many special areas, there was a lot of tension, or there is a lot of intensification in certain areas. So the moon in itself does not tend to be objective, rather the peak of the emotional outbreak that may be possible. So all of this will be getting a bit easier as we go into the summer. But the one-sidedness will still remain until July, August. Just to just give you a bit of an energy feeling what this means when I speak about the one-sidedness and the concentration. To come to this new moon, this is the calculation for Europe. We have here the Sun on 2 degrees in Gemini, and there is Venus and Mercury also in Gemini, but Venus is retrograde. And all of this in conjunction to Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, also retrograde. If you had the chance to watch my video that I did on the last week on the in-between phase, you may get the information that in 1 week Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn got retrograde. So there was a lot of standing still and then shifting towards another direction that took place, which gave quite an irritation in the energy out there. For Europe, the new moon is in the area of partnership in the 7th house. And Venus and Mercury is also in the 7th house. So as Brexit happened and then the pandemic hit, maybe now we have a phase in Europe where we reconsider and value our relations. Venus is a symbol of partnerships. It is in the 7th house of partnership. The cusp of the 7th house is Taurus, and the ruler of Taurus is Venus. The ruler of Gemini is Mercury, and so they are all in the 7th house. It is a time where people may revalue partnerships in themselves, with others. They may go on a quest for what is valuable in a relation for me. And as Venus is retrograde, it's an inward turning. Venus also rules money, so it may be that there are some money issues coming up regarding, as it is in conjunction with Mercury, regarding trade, but also regarding communication. On the other hand, Venus in Gemini is a special symbol of right human relations and interconnections. So I guess it is a real phase, an emphasis on restructuring the EU, trying to get the member states together at a table again, restructuring contracts with other countries. Just as it is a phase on the personal level to reconsider and reconstruct relations. But, and there is a but, Venus is in a square to Neptune. Neptune in a square could be quite an illusion or disillusion, a disenchantment. So one could hurt each other through speech, through spoken words, through kinds of action, but one can also be disillusioned by friends. It is, especially if you consider the concentration of the past weeks and the past months, not the easiest time for close relation in this connection with Neptune. If you go in the interpersonal thing and you step into market or in the mundane, you may have a time where everything that has to do with the sea or the ocean or water may be in stress. There may be a lot of floods or somehow storms with a lot of water or tsunamis that may be possible. There is a certain drowning issue, drowning in emotion also possible. And if you consider the trade issues, Neptune has to do with crude oil and with crude gas. So there may be problems with trading with oil or gas, or with the countries that are in producing oil in the oil industry. The Pluto-Jupiter-Saturn connection is getting tighter again as all planets turned retrograde, so Saturn will visit Pluto again, Jupiter will visit Pluto again. So the symbolism of this was the epidemic and then the pandemic spreading. as this is tightening again, there will be a phase of reconsidering. It is retrograde, so an inner process. And Jupiter will turn so much retrograde that it will be in the position as it was in December, so before Pluto. And then it will run again towards Pluto to the conjunction that it had January, February. So we will have a kind of window into a pre-pandemic time, which should be used for reconsidering and especially for giving aid and compensation to people that are in need and that did a lot of hard work. As Jupiter is also a symbolism for scientists and higher education, it may be a time to revalue scientific effort, or that you have to restructure the education system in the time of endemic, pandemic things. There is the possibility of a second and third wave when Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn-Pluto meet again. I did an article on that you can find on my website, where I speak about this movement of the three planets. There is the possibility, as the conjunction between Saturn and Pluto in January was the symbol of the pandemic and epidemic, that we may get another wave under these circumstances. I would now... the Sun in Gemini is at the Sabian symbol of the Garden of Tuileries in Paris. And then Rodia explained the symbol as a kind of ambivalence between reason, the desire for beauty, and to form nature. So we may see nature in a new way, we may see nature in a new form, but we may give too much formalism into nature. If you put that on other things, or if you put that as a symbol for the outer life, there may be an ambivalence between reason, mind, spirit opening towards beauty and towards the form and the taming of nature, but there may be too much form. Amazingly, Merkel met with Macron, and they did a white paper that they are now giving towards the EU, and I think it would be worthwhile to read that, because it is amazing that the Sabian symbols are especially for the Western world, but especially also for America, so for the American Western culture. But it speaks of a French symbol, and under this French symbol, the Garden of Tuileries in Paris, Merkel and Macron do a common proposal. So I think it would be worthwhile to read it, because it may give or try to give a new structure or a new form to the EU and the interpartnerships. So the relation between the states of Europe with each other, and maybe towards UK also after the Brexit. It's amazing that the Brexit happens almost simultaneously with the pandemic, and so we almost forgot that they are gone out of Europe. So, to come to the new moon for UK, you may see now the new moon is still in 7th house, but here we have Uranus at the cusp now. But you have Venus, Mercury in the 8th house. The 8th house has to do with other people's money and with death and transformation. I suggest that this may mean that Great Britain has a lot more to do with money issues that have to do with Brexit, so with breaking up, leaving a partnership, but also with the pandemic. They are in slightly different issues than Europe due to that. The third house here is the third house of brothers and sisters, and here all of the troublesome planets that stand or symbolize the pandemic are in. So there is still an everyday issue, everyday dealing with the pandemic. And there is a lot of everyday learning how to deal with it. Scientific measurement may still produce changes in the everyday life, and it may be quite changing, maybe a little bit of opening and then tightening again regarding whether Jupiter or Saturn are running into the conjunction and when this happens and when it turns exact. But this is a matter of a few months. Right now, the death issue is an everyday issue to deal with. And trade and money both are not stabilized. So this whole matter speaks of more problems in Great Britain than Europe is having as a whole. Here the same issues towards Neptune, and I think we may get into talks sooner or later about the fishing industry and the value of resources and what nature is worth, whether it is to be seen as a resource or whether it is to be seen as a value for all, and to see it in this or in that way may have to do a lot when it comes about the fishing and overfishing. Uranus in Taurus at this point in time could be sudden changes in partnership, sudden changes in relation. From the tendency, Uranus and Taurus is an earth-shaking thing, so it is quite an earthquake sign, but Uranus is 7 years in Taurus, so it is something that is going on for 7 years, and the possibility of earthquakes is increasing if a planet is transiting here, or whether there is a new moon or a full moon. So in itself alone, at this point in time here at the Descendant, I would suggest there may be matters with electricity going on, new contracts, new ways to deal with the electricity in the UK that may be different from the EU. I do not know whether they had an exchange of electricity so that we may have the same electricity network in Europe, but this may also be an issue that is worthwhile watching. We have Mars sextiling Uranus, which may mean that we get an increase in energy, but maybe also disputes or other versions of viewpoints. If it has to do with electricity, I might suggest that there is the possibility of blackouts, smaller ones, or just as I said, that there may be some issues regarding electricity that have to be worked out towards the EU or other partners, whether and how electricity is done, etc. Yeah, I would like to come now to the horoscope of America. And here the energy is shifting again also. We have the new moon in the ninth house near the MC, the highest point. And the money, value, and trade matter is in the public eye, so in the 10th house. America will maybe quite openly dealing with money issues, quite openly dealing with what stuff is worth or what people are worth. Whether there needs to be a sacrifice. Neptune and Pisces also stand for a sacrifice or a crucifixion of people towards an economy. Whether there will be hard words regarding oil or oil producing countries, and unfortunately I look also to Iran. There are certain times when America interfered into the politics of Iran, and no matter when that happened, in the 30s or in the 60s or in the 80s, there were certain points that were triggered, and we have a similar trigger right now, and Trump is dancing upon that. I also I think that America might come up with something military. There is the possibility of something, well, like a breaking up of relation or breaking up of partnerships, of getting more military to certain areas or withdrawing military from certain areas. But there's also a tendency to go to a fake fight in order to distract from the issues here and here. I rather tend to think that there will be a lot of fog and illusion. Neptune and Pisces is a creator of illusion, of astral and emotional fog. But it can also be that there will be narrowing theme going on with people or countries where faith is an issue, that their religion is not welcome or nothing worth. So here Venus retrograde in a square with Neptune is disregarding or disillusionized by religion. And the closer Mars gets to that, the closer is the possibility of a fight in matters of oil, in matters of disillusionment, in matters of illusion producing, in matters of religion. And therefore I look with an open eye towards the Iran-Iraq region. I'm not quite sure what may happen there, especially here, maybe involve ocean issues or military bases. I'm not sure. I think there may be trouble waiting for America, or that America may produce trouble to get out of the public eye this issue. They are not so fond of you see, for if you regard if you look at the ninth house, it is a scientific issue. Trump should listen to scientists. The new moon means insights from scientists, from higher education, from universities, from studies. and they are communicated. But there's a tendency to go there to speak a lot about relations that are not working or that are inward, to speak a lot about values and about sacrifices, but maybe there is the tendency to fog an illusionize or to produce illusion on certain areas. So much for the USA. And with that, I close this video and just give you a glimpse of the upcoming events. We will have a full moon on the 5th of June, a new moon on the 21st June, and then another full moon on the 4th to 5th July, depending on which time zone you are in. But all of these three events are eclipses. We have penumbral eclipses of the moon, and we have an annular solar eclipse. So it will be quite a transformative time coming, as an eclipse is always a point of transformation energy. So the Pluto tendency will be tightened and increased and concentrated. So I will do videos and or articles on it. I'm still not that good in writing. Just as I said in the other video, I had a surgery on the shoulder, therefore I'm doing videos at all. So I'm most likely going to produce some videos so that you can check the astrological meanings of the upcoming events. And with that, I wish you a very good time in May and June to the start of Gemini. And yeah, see you for the coming events. Bye.